Hi everyone. I hope that you can hear me okay. I hope that you can see my screen okay. Please chat in and let me know during the process if you can, if there's any technical difficulties. This remote world, there's always something, it seems. But anyway, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us today to discuss our new online payments feature, which is accepting online retainers. I'm Lindsay Paoli, the Director of Sales and Marketing at Design Manager. I've been here for 13 years now. I have an even better expert with me to actually show you the features. I have Brad Martin with me today. He's the Director of Client Experience. He's been a Design Manager a whopping 23 years. So we just had a new enhancement hit our DM online payments. So we wanted to highlight and demonstrate that today for everybody. We also wanted to just take the beginning opportunity to educate on the value that online payments provide in general, just in case you haven't signed up for a Stripe account yet, or you aren't sure, whether you prefer credit card processing or bank transfers yet. So we'll touch on that a little bit in the beginning, and then we'll get into the demo. Here's the official agenda: benefits of online payments, ACH payments versus credit card payments, what are the features that are entailed with DM online payments, and then just a real touch on how to set that Stripe account up, demoing, and then some question and answer. Please, as we go, feel free to type in your questions into the questions area. We can save those until the end and we can answer them together. If they're really specific, I can probably chat back to you real fast, but please just throw them all in there. Nothing's a bad question. We love questions. So let's get rolling here. This is something that we always talk about in the office, but it's just something nice to put out there. By 2025, it's estimated that 70% of businesses and consumers will collect payments digitally. I think the bottom line here is that all businesses need to get paid. It's a fact of life. And just online payments are just created to facilitate the speed and user experience of that process. So what we have. This is a little video that we made that we like to show off too.
Or, well, a house. You want to get paid. Design Manager makes it fast and easy. Simply send your invoice from Design Manager software. Your clients open their email, click the link, and pay online, whether by ACH or credit card. Your account updates automatically. They're happy, you're happy. Now you can get back to growing your business and designing beautiful houses. Connect your DM software with a Stripe account to start processing digital payments today.
That's just a quick video, a little hype video, getting excited for online payments. But what are the benefits of online payments for your business? It's pretty simple: getting paid faster, trying to cut down that physical checks time, getting mailed, increasing your client satisfaction, of course. Our system's really easy for your clients to use. It's not just easy for you to use, it's very easy for your clients to use as well, so they'll love it. Obviously, you want to focus on cost savings for your business. So with physical checks having to be printed, mailed, processed, we want to save time in that area, and obviously the cost savings, and then obviously going green. You want to have increased operational efficiency, and you can rest assured that you're also helping the environment. What they really add up to, though, is more time to design, and that's what everybody's kind of looking for. What are the two most common payment types? We like to focus on these two because, again, they're just the most common ones out there. Obviously, we all know kind of what credit card payments are, but everybody might not know what ACH is, or whether it is a bank transfer or not. It is a bank transfer. So ACH stands for Automated Clearinghouse. The best part about ACH is that it cuts out the middleman entirely. It functions just like a bank transfer. So it's money moving directly from an outgoing bank account to a recipient's bank account. So just head to head here, credit card payments versus ACH payments. Obviously, we can see with ACH payments, you're going to save money. It's 1.2% versus 3.1%. You're going to get a more reliable experience with your ACH because you have payments that are going directly from bank account to bank account. Going along with that, you have less risk assessment that's involved, so you can do higher amount transactions, which is really something important to point out for this industry. Interior design usually take large amounts of money up front to start that job, and it might be along the way as well. So those higher transactions through ACH go a lot smoother. And then, of course, you promote decisiveness with your clients. So that's really something that's important for a designer, because you want to know that your clients are really interested in that job and not just, pushing it off or something. One thing not highlighted here that we'll have Brad talk about and kind of show in the demonstration is how easy it is for your clients to actually complete the ACH payment using our system. So we all know clients will have no issue typing in credit card information, but not many people know that all you need for the ACH payment is the bank username and password. So gone are the days of having to know your routing number and things like that. This is really streamlined and easy for your client. So it's just something important to highlight there. So what is this, whole part of Design Manager software that we call DM Online Payments? It's the integration with Stripe, so we might interchange those terminologies quite frequently. So you have to have a Stripe account set up, and then it's the feature set within Pro Cloud that allows your clients to pay you seamlessly through an easy-to-use interface. So you can think of it as the system to send your payment links via email with your documents, a secure interface then for your clients to choose their payment method. Then you have email notifications back to the designer and or bookkeeper, if you'd like, saying the payment has been received. You can optionally, according to your geographic area, having spoken with your CPA probably, whether this is kosher or not, pass along those processing costs to your clients. And then all the back-end accounting that takes place behind the scenes to record that payment into the correct accounts, including the fees that are charged and everything. So this is what we mean by DM Online Payments when we use that. It's all the features involved with accepting digital payments from your clients, and the key to it all is our integration with the payment processor Stripe. As many of you know, we have worked with previous processors. We still work with them for point of sale functionality. Through the years though, that processor that we previously worked with, their customer service became a little bit worse, their transaction levels became a little bit worse. So we decided to look for the best processor that had the most features available, but also that could give us the integration tools to really build this new DM Online payment system. So the key to using this is connecting it with Stripe. And how do you do that? How do you set up a Stripe account? You actually head right to your account management portal page. You log in and you click Connect Stripe under the menu drop-down, and this will kick off the Stripe account setup. That actually will look very similar to this screen next. So this is the part where you probably need the principal, owner or bookkeeper, financial contact for the company, because you need details like the company tax ID, the owner's birth date, possibly security number. However, this process probably takes about 15 to 20 minutes max. So it is really streamlined and easy, but you do have to have that business information in front of you to make it go super, super fast. There's one thing to point out about all this too, is that the account approval process is instantaneous, but actually they use that first payout as like a final approval step. So it actually takes 7 days for your first payout to happen, and then everything after that, all the payouts after that, are on a 2-day rolling basis average. So again, just something to call out as you go through this experience if you haven't already. So we'll keep moving through. This just a couple more steps that you want to like hit on as best practices. You will get set up with a Stripe dashboard to check it out. So it's really neat to see, because it's another area besides Design Manager that you can go to see the payments that you're receiving as well in more detail. So just again, something to call out that's nice to know as a best practice when using all this. So next Now that we have the background information that we need to succeed with DM online payments, we are ready to have Brad walk us through some examples as if we had clients paying us with ACH bank transfers and credit cards. He's definitely going to highlight the new retainers feature that just came out and show how you can also control the online payment settings in DM because they give you some flexibility when collecting payments. So I will now take the little time here I need to pass this over to Brad. And let me know, Brad, if you're okay with that.
I am getting that right now,
Yeah,
Lindsay, and
I
I
can
am
see your
going
screen.
to show my screen. Okay, you can see it.
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay, thanks, Lindsay. A great job presenting that and getting us up and running here. As Lindsay said, my name is Brad Martin, and I'm the Director of Client Experience here at DM, and I'm really enthused about this Stripe integration. I think our developers did a fantastic job, and I am thrilled about how fast and enthusiastically our users are picking it up and adopting it. So I'll pick up the conversation in our Pro Cloud now that our Stripe account has already been created and show you some of the features. Now, once your Stripe account is active, you will actually have additional settings available to you in your Pro Cloud, as you can imagine, to handle some of those accounting transactions that Lindsay mentioned, and we're trying to do all of that seamlessly, no extra work on your behalf. Now, for newer users of Pro Cloud, many of the features are already pre-configured. You can change them if desired, of course, but most new users are often running with very little configuration. For firms that have been, our honored design manager clients for many years, reviewing these settings may be necessary, so it's good to review for everyone. Now, first off, we want to ensure that we have a payment type created to process the funds received via Stripe. To do so, we're going to head over to our File menu, go down to Company Information and Settings, and we're going to jump over to the AR or Accounts Receivable and Showroom tab. This is where you can create and monitor your payment types. Now, if you don't have one already created for Stripe, you would need to add one manually. Again, very few clients would need to do so. If so, you would click the Add button as indicated by the green plus sign, type in Stripe as the type name, select the desired checking account that you would like the Stripe funds to be entered in towards. And if you have only one, that's very simple. And finally, on the data collection, you would select the last entry for Stripe or TSYS. Click OK, and you're ready to go. Now, again, we already had one configured, so I wouldn't need to add one. Also, on our Accounts Receivable and Showroom tab, we can see another whole set of features and selections that are available in the bottom right corner of this window. Now, these will only be available when your Stripe account is configured and linked, as Lindsay mentioned. So this is another way to determine that you've successfully linked the account. Now, first off, you can designate what type of payment method you would like. Would you rather the client to pay by ACH only, credit card only, both, or even if you would like the ability to create your payment pages, send them to your client, but not allow electronic payment processing, you could use the none selection to do so. I will leave ours set for ACH and credit card, as I'll do demonstrations on both. Further, as Lindsay mentioned, this is where you can indicate whether or not you wish to have the Stripe fees charged back to the client. Again, this is a consideration that you should definitely review with your accounting professional to ensure that it's acceptable in your locale. And if you do select the charge fees to client options, as I have done, you'll have a few others to select. One, is this a taxable entity and the appropriate component type that represents the fee to the client? Again, the taxability of that should be reviewed with your CPA. Finally, you're going to need a sales category to handle the reimbursement of the fee to the client. So I've already associated our fees sales category, which if we use our search icon, we can bring up our sales category search window. And notice on this specialized fee sales category, I've created a pair of sales or revenue and cost of goods sold accounts associated with that sales category. Conceptually, think of the passing of a fee to the client as a reimbursable expense. Stripe basically charges you a nominal fee, which you in turn then charge your client, just as you would do with reimbursing transportation or meals or those types of things. So Stripe charges you, and then in turn charge the client as well. So the fees literally pass through your company. Okay, finally, even if you are not charging fees if you're not going to pass on your fees to the client, you're going to need an expense account to allow the automatic processing of the Stripe fees during the payout process when Stripe transmits the funds to you. So within the new Pro Cloud Stripe integration, Stripe funds your account and removes that fee. We handle that automatically for you. We take the funds in, and then on our other accounts tab, we have a new payment processing fees account, which you assign some expense account. That's going to absorb or record where those fees go. Again, if you're a newer user in our Pro Cloud, that's already configured for you. If you're one of our honored legacy users, give that a check to make sure that's the appropriate account that you would like to use. We'll go ahead and click OK and save all of our settings. Now, let's hop back over to our File menu, and we're going to drop down to another new window, our Online Payment Settings. This is where we have a few simple selections to further indicate how we want to configure our Stripe processing. First off, we want to assign that payment type that we just created to tell Design Manager which payment type is associated with our Stripe processing. Only payment types that have a data collection of Stripe would be available here. So rather than having a whole list of all of our payment types, we only see our single one for Stripe, which is very common. Next, you can indicate whether or not to allow deposit payments on proposals, payments on invoices as desired. You can have them both selected, one or the other, of course. Vast majority of the time, you'd want to have both of those selected. Finally, you can enter in the email address that's going to receive the confirmation emails automatically when your client submits payment. You can even have multiple email addresses. We can see that mine's selected in there, but if I wanted to send one to myself or perhaps the accounting team as well or another team member, I would just input a semicolon directly after the first email address and then type in the next email address. No spaces, just email, semicolon, email, and Design Manager will send a confirmation to each one of those addresses. And guess what? That's it. Now you're ready to go out there, get paid faster and easier so you can focus on growing your business. So let's see what online payments with Stripe really looks like in practice so we can take a look at how this thing really functions so fluidly. First, we're going to take a look at using a credit card payment through Design Manager, and I'm going to start by doing so by having a proposal that I'm going to send to my client that needs a deposit received. So on my project tab, I'm going to jump over to my proposal window. I'm going to go to my Coastal Cottage project, and you can see I have a proposal for a custom sofa where I have yet to receive a deposit. Now, if I want to send this or email this simply to the client, I can do so just by selecting or tagging the proposal and clicking the send button. And I can tag as many proposals as I want. I can include several of them into a single email. This brings up our review and send proposal summary window. And to transmit, I click the send button and it comes up with our very standard, simple to use email window. Now, the email address defaults from the project address. I've put mine in here because I wanted to review both how the emails appear. So we'll email that to ourselves as if I'm the client as well. Click send. Just like that, Design Manager alerts us, hey, the proposal or proposals emails has been sent successfully. And if we look down here, we can see I've already got an email confirmation from my Outlook telling me, hey, House of Sparrows Interior Design just sent you a proposal. And this is exactly how the email would look to your clients. We can see very simply right up top is a link to view the documents. This is what your client would then select to get to our new payment pages. And there they are. So along our right-hand side, the client can view the proposal or proposals, print them, download them for their records. They can also select which of the proposals or documents they wish to currently pay. Obviously, when I unselect or deselect it, my total due changes as well. So again, if you sent multiple proposals for review, they could select the ones that they want to submit payment upon. From here, they click the continue to payment, and that comes up with our select payment method. And here you can see all of the options that we configured. Remember, on our company information settings, we said, I want to be able to do both ACH or bank transfers and credit cards. They could also select check, and that's going to show them basically your billing address so they could send a check for. Very conveniently, the fees are being shown as well. Since I've selected to pass the fees on, the client can see what they'll be charged for those as well. As I mentioned, we decided to do a credit card payment. So I select the credit card option, and the convenience fee is immediately calculated for me. Further, if you click the little information area, it tells precisely how that fee is calculated. So there's pure transparency to the client. Now, I just need to enter in a credit card number. As you can imagine, this is probably not a real one, so I wouldn't go trying that. Oops. CVC, zip code, and I'm good to go. I simply click pay now. Stripe's going to handle all that payment processing for us, and just like that, payment successful. The client sees this confirmation and is alerted via email as well. Click close. Now I'm also going to be getting an email because I have my email address selected in the online payments and settings. And there we go, my new email alert. This is me as a representative of House of Sparrow, and I get an email confirmation just like that, exactly what occurred, how much was received, when it was received, what project, proposal number, the amount, the fees, everything. Just like that, I have full communication. I could save this, print it from my records. I can even easily log on to ProCloud from here as well. Just like that, nearly instantaneously, the funds are transferred and we're good to go. Let's jump back over to ProCloud. And we can see if I just refresh our window by right-clicking, selecting refresh, my status updates, my received deposit is immediately shown. The payment information and even the payment date, just like that. And very fluid, very simple, all fully integrated just like that. Great, credit card payments, piece of cake. Now, let's move forward with the process and have the client pay the remaining, or pay the balance on an invoice using ACH or bank transfer. So let's jump off of our proposals and documents, hop over to accounting, client invoices, and I've already crafted an invoice on my new tab ready for printing and posting. So we click our post button. We can take a look at this if we like, the preview. And here's our invoice, a little bit of time that Benjamin has recorded. Going to send that off to Miss Casey Hill for her final payment. We'll go ahead and accept that. As many of you know, it's going to drop off our new tab, and it's going to reside on our existing tab. And there it is. So now I can easily send this off, not just as a PDF or a printed document or whatever for Mrs. Hill, but I can send it using our payment pages so she gets it and can pay it all immediately. Similarly, as we just saw on the proposal side, we're going to tag our invoice and hit our send button. Brings up our very handy review and send invoices summary window. Again, I could do as many invoices for Mrs. Hill as I needed to. Have them all on there, give them all the ability to pay every single one of them. Click send. I'm going to see our email window. Again, I changed the email to myself for our demonstration purposes, but that would be the email in our project window for the particular contact. And we send. Very similar, I get the confirmation that the email has been sent, and just like that, it appears in my Outlook. So this is what Mrs. Hill would see, very similar to what the proposal email looked like. Mrs. Hill would click link to view documents, pops up right in her browser, very similar appearance. And you can see there's multiple pages here, so she can scroll down and see the detail of time charges as well. The payment pages work identically. We want to have a very familiar interface for your clients. So once they get one or two of these, they know exactly how they operate, and they do so consistently between deposit requests for proposals, payments on invoices, and as we'll see momentarily, retainers as well. Mrs. Hill clicks continue to payment. That's our payment method. Now, we're going to leave it set for ACH bank transfer. Again, it's going to be calculating that 1.2% fee for her. She can see that with the information node there. You can see I'm charging sales tax on this as well. Another one of those options that we discussed, and things to consider, talking to your CPA about, just to make sure it's all kosher. Click pay now. We're going to see a bit of a difference here. First, we get a little window just indicating information about security and confidentiality. So the client feels 100% okay that they're going to be processing through the ACH transfer. They click continue. And now they can select whatever banking institution they want to remit payment from. Let's say that Mrs. Hill has a Bank of America. Now she puts in her credentials. I have some stored. Again, these are probably not true credentials, so don't try using them. And we click submit. Those are the banking credentials for Mrs. Hill to log on to her banking institution site. So when she's sitting at home and needs to pay some bills or review her Bank of America account, those are the credentials in case there's any confusion there. Obviously, they need to have an online banking account to make this work. We click submit. And just like that, everything's getting processed here. Sometimes there's a double authentication, as there is the case with, let's try a different bank there. Okay, much easier. So in the Wells Fargo, there's two accounts. There could be a single account associated with the banking institution. There could be multiple ones. Mrs. Hill just selects the one she wants to make the payment from. Click continue, all set, just like that. Okay, so that actually shows that there's different authentications with each of the banking institutions, and you can have multiple accounts on the client side. So full flexibility in the system. She gets the confirmation alert just like this. She also gets a confirmation email, as do we. And we can see just like that, we have a new email. In 1 second, that will appear. Okay, that's my Outlook taking a little bit more time than I would have imagined. So it's not the processing on the back end. It's simply my Outlook taking a bit time to update. We'll come back to that in a second. Let's move on to show our final piece of the process. Back on our client invoices window, we can see that I sent the invoice. Payment is still probably processing, but it may have gone through already. Oops. Let's refresh. still occurring. As soon as that email comes through, our payments will alert. But let's focus on the final piece. Much of this may be familiar to you already. I know tons of our users are already processing deposits and invoice payments going through. But the newest feature with our online payments is the ability to have the same functionality for retainers. And it actually might be the easiest way to get funds requested by any mechanism. So to do so, to create a retainer request, we go back to our project window. And you may have already noticed there are new columns. There's a column for our current requested retainer and our retainer status. To request a retainer, let's see, we have a brand new project created today for Mr. Miller in his Atlanta office. If I wanted to request a retainer, I simply highlight the project and just click the new Request Retainer button along the bottom. I input the amount, let's say, I don't know, 5,000, and just click OK. A few things happen there. We can see our email window coming up. I'll switch this over to my email address for consistency. We have our retainer payment request, our messaging. I already can see my retainer request coming up in my requested retainer column. And let's go send this off and we'll see how the email appears. Okay, there is our retainer request. Open that up. Very similar. So we're striving for consistency between all the documents. The client now has, rather than a link to view documents, a little difference, link to view retainer. So we've crafted a specialized payment page just for retainers. Obviously, there's no document to review, there's no proposal or invoice, so it's very streamlined, very minimal, and very easy to use for the client. They can see exactly how much we're requesting, and then everything else becomes the same. They can just click continue to payment. We'll use the credit card again, pop in our number, and click pay now. Just like that. So now, retainers, very simply, exact same functionality, procuring funds without having the necessity to make a proposal or have any outstanding invoices. A fantastic way to get those initial funds. Jump back over to our Pro Cloud, and we can see handy feature here. If Mr. Miller said that, hey, I didn't get the retainer request, it would remain here as an active link. Notice I could actually click that 5,000, it would bring me back to the retainer page. However, once it is paid, and I'll refresh our window, the active link drops and now my status updates. So you know exactly what occurred. And then you can request another retainer whenever necessary. Further, if the client, maybe the client's very active and they have outstanding invoices and they have deposits necessary for ongoing proposals, rather than sending them all the documents, you might just want to say, hey, Mr. Miller, how about you send me 75,000 via ACH? You could use the retainer to do that and then use your cash receipt window to allocate it. So you don't have to send all the documents again. He can give you a round number and you can use your familiar cash receipt window to make those allocations. An amazing way to really get the funds in fast, which is what we're all trying to do. And then you can do however necessary allocations to close those invoices and those types of things. And with that, that kind of gives me the end of my demonstration of all of the amazing payment pages and online payment availability in our new Pro Cloud. And I'll turn it back over to Lindsay to see if any questions have come in. Lindsay, you might be on mute.
Thanks,
okay.
Brad. Thanks, Brad. Yep. Just clicking that mute button. All right, let me share my screen again. We have had some questions come in, so that's really good. They're really good questions. So I think, are you seeing the new screen there, Brad?
We're seeing the DM online payments demo with newly released.
All right, perfect. Okay, and okay. So right before we jump into the questions, I did want to offer anybody a little bonus offer who hasn't signed up for Stripe yet. If you sign up at the end of the week or the end of tomorrow, you can receive 1 month free of Pro Cloud. So please, after you sign up for Stripe, just email sales@designmanager.com and we can apply that promo code for you. We can check on your Stripe account and then we can apply the code for you, no problem. We've had some great usage so far. Like Brad mentioned, we're having good adoption to this feature. We've been asked about the feature for years. Brad and I both have been super excited about it along the way. But there's just a few people that have had some good testimonials about it. Lots of happy designers, lots of happy bookkeepers. And then finally, we will start in on the questions. So one of the questions that we get all the time is about the YouTube page and will this be available on the YouTube page? We actually do have it up there. We've done a couple of these already in the fall. So I hope that switched over okay.
Yep.
So if you head to our Design Manager page, which has the icon that looks like our normal logo, on the Design Manager page, you can actually get to a DM online payments playlist, and that has a few of these videos that you can get with, like, this is the full webinar from before. This is just collecting the online retainers part. We just put that out there. And this is actually a really good one up top, which is just 7.5 minutes. And that's kind of what Brad did today, but without the retainers portion, of course. So we have some short ones, we have some longer ones, you know, just highlighting that all that is out there if anybody needs it. So just to review as well, the rates are 3.1% plus that 30 cents per transaction for credit cards. And then for the ACH, it is 1.2%. Okay, so just to review that, one of the first ones that I'll start with, Brad, I might shoot this to you, is when your client chooses check as the payment option, do you get any kind of notification back to the designer or whoever that you're going to receive a check in the mail?
No, you do not. It's just
That's what I thought. Okay.
Right. It's just an indication that, hey, they can look at the payment pages, they can print, they can do all that functionality, which is still impressive, but it just basically shows your address to which there's, so the fact of the actual electronic payment is the only way that we can monitor status.
Okay, that's what I thought. We have had that come up though, so we also have a product board where you can make suggestions. I'll make sure that one gets out there again because we have had that come in before. So, okay, that was one of the ones. So this is an interesting one. If you're currently using the Cayenne TSYS to right now as your processor because you use point of sale, if you transition to Stripe, who handles alerting or disconnecting the Cayenne TSYS payments? That's actually something that you have to do because you are the merchant in that case. So you actually set your account up with Cayenne TSYS directly. So you have to do that piece. We can help if something goes wrong. I can try to escalate, but that's about all I can do from our side. And I guess another key thing to point out, Brad, you can probably help me with this wording too, but if you do want to keep Cayenne or TSYS for point of sale functionality, because we don't have that built in with Stripe yet, you can do that.
Correct.
So the system is smart enough to have both connected and to use Stripe for your regular project payments and continue to use Cayenne and TSYS for your point of sale.
Exactly it, Lindsay. And that's why when on the online payment settings where we can select which payment type is associated with Stripe, in those cases, Lindsay, you'll have another payment type. Let's just call it like CC or something along that, very simple, or even POS that's associated with the TSYS side of things. So there can only be one that's associated with the Stripe. So that will be the entry that is used.
Okay.
all the Stripe processing, and when a POS invoice occurs, the other credit card payment type would be selected. So it can easily be done.
Okay. Kind of going along with the settings, is there somewhere you need to set up the email alerts when the payment is received?
Yes, as I showed on the if you want to hop me over, I could show that again, Linz, if you want to give
Yeah,
me.
sure. Yeah, hold on, let me pass it over. It's in that same area
Yep.
of the settings there. I
Yep.
think okay.
Yep, sure is. So under File, we have that very simple online payment settings window, which, as we just discussed, has the ability to associate the payment type. And here's our status emails. That's where those are the email addresses for the design firm team members that you want to receive the status emails. I have one configured, but you can have multiple simply by using the email address, semicolon, no space, and then and then another subsequent email as well. So when I was showing the design manager email that gets received when a payment occurs, that was going to my email address. That's exactly what it would look like.
All right, very good. Just going through here. Can you show how to pull design fee hours from a time retainer? Ooh, that's a detailed question.
I think that one needs to go.
Yeah.
I think let's direct that to support@designmanager.com. Just email that over there. That's more of a internal functionality question versus an online payment question.
Yeah, we can really dig that one can go deep. So
Yes.
there's lots of question marks on there of how you like to do it specifically.
Correct.
So okay. Can you show the cash receipt side that shows the fee listed as a separate invoice? Can you show
sure.
the fee
Yes,
invoice again, please?
So what's occurring on the back end there is for each time that the fee is being passed through, a singular invoice gets created for the client and it gets paid immediately. So if we look at the timeless townhome here, we can see the client does not necessarily need to get this invoice, but to have the proper accounting process, this is how it's created. It simply says the convenience fee. It lists the total amount, which documents, invoices and or proposals that were used to calculate the fee, and the fact that it was paid. So that it gives you a perfect audit trail of the passing through of the fees. The cash receipt side of things, not to dive too deep into the accounting world here, but we could see here is my retainer that I just took from Mr. Miller, right? So I got the 5,000. There was a payment on the convenience fee invoice, and this is the miscellaneous cash receipt is going against my convenience fee cost of goods sold account. So the retainer comes in. This is the invoice gets created for the fee. The difference in there is going to be the tax, and then the miscellaneous cash receipt is me actually processing or is recording the cost of goods sold of that fee. So there's quite a bit of intricate accounting going on there, but it's all handled fluidly by Design Manager on the back end.
All right, so going along with these invoices and the separate invoices that are created for the fees, is there a way to show this in a separate project and not show it in the project that you currently are?
Nope, unfortunately not. It has to be tied to the project because it's being tied to the payment of the documents associated with the project.
Right. I figured as much, and it's completely up to the designer, what you want to do, if you want to, show those or not.
Correct.
It's totally.
I've also had the experience of working with some design firms that they do not want to use on the processing of fees automatically. They simply adjusted some of their own internal markups. So it can be compensated for in a variety of ways, but I would say in my experience so far, the vast majority are passing them through, but you can be creative with it as well.
That's a really good point, Brad, actually. Yes, I've heard of that as well. Okay, so moving along to the payment links, would you have any concerns if they were to send the payment link without actually sending it through our email system? So like copying the payment link and putting it into their own email with their own branding and things like that.
That's a heck of a good question. Whoever brought that one up, I'll give an example of that. I like to show the send functionality because I feel that a lot of our DM users don't know that it exists. But whoever the power user was over there nailed a very good point. Let me grab a different project here. How about this specific port retreat? What I could do here, rather than tagging and sending, I could tag. Now watch, if I simply right click, I can either view the payment link myself, or I could just copy that link. And then that would be able to, I could paste that right into an email. Just quickly show one here. Bam, now it's right in there. And for those, again, who are very adept at your, your Outlook or your Word, you could just say this is, oops. I could say proposal 001, and then I just put that link right in there, and now the client would just click on my handcrafted proposal link, and that's going to get me to the payment page as well. So again, our developers being as meticulous as they are, they give you all sorts of flexibility there. So no, you do not need to use our send system. You can pop it in there. At that point, however the transmission of the payment link goes to the client, everything else is the same. They get right to the same payment page, and all that functionality is there. And we do have a lot of clients who would prefer doing that. They want their, a more standardized email going out, and they prefer to do so themselves. Plus, it gets into their email system directly.
Very good point. Very good question. Okay, so I have a couple of retainer specific questions. What happens after you receive the retainer? Where do those funds go? I mean, it operates like a normal retainer does in Design Manager already. So if you head to the, yeah.
Yep. So for my Atlanta office here, let's look at the status window of the proposal. We can see I've received the retainers, right? Comes in. It's simply a cash receipt. So think of it, there's the only new technology is how the client is paying it.
Right.
If they had sent me a check or just walked in and dropped $5,000 on my table in cash, I would record it the same way. So now it's sitting in my retainer for the client. Not to diverge too much here from the topic, but retainers are not tied to any particular document. In other words, a proposal, whatever. It's just funds that are the client provides you for future services. So then I could move the retainer to an application on Invoice, or I can move it to a deposit on a proposal, or those types of things. So it works just like a retainer does traditionally in Pro Cloud. Once it comes in, only difference there is how it got in there using the new payment pages technology and the Stripe integration. There's a big discussion on deposits and retainers on that YouTube channel that Lindsay mentioned.
Yes.
Yeah, yes. Design Manager Inc. And for those of you who don't know, you can access that just by clicking your Design Manager Vision here, and then go down to watch how-to videos. That's going to pop you right over to our YouTube channel, so you don't have to hunt around in there and search and find the wrong channel. And then there's all of our stuff, and you can see our short, helpful too. Whoa.
Yeah, it's an automatic start.
I have that memorized in my head, but you can see all of our tutorials, and then all our accounting webinars are down here as well. And there's a very deep dive on deposit and retainers. So utilize those tools.
All right, so the online retainer feature that is only available with Stripe, that is correct.
Correct.
So that is not available with TSYS Cayenne connection that we previously had. Just making sure we get that, we hit that one. Are all banks listed in the window for the client to select their bank, even small credit unions? There's tons. There are tons and tons and tons. Just Stripe has an exhaustive list out on their
Yep.
documentation. I think we've only run into maybe one that hasn't
Yes. Yeah,
been.
it's been very few, but full disclosure, it is not everyone. So if it is a very small one branch credit union, it may not be on there. You can contact the credit union or Stripe/Plaid, who also helps them with ACH processing, to see if they can get inclusion on there. So it as Lindsay said, I have had one experience out of literally hundreds of firms at this point that have had an issue with a account not being listed.
All right, let's see. There are a few others here. So let's see. When we take a credit card payment on retainer on behalf of the client, do we just put in our email address to bypass notifying the customer to pay? I think you could just take it normally, like through the cash receipts window. Oh, are you saying like, oh, take it digitally on behalf of their client, I guess, and not send it to the client directly to do it?
Um,
Yeah, you can certainly do that if you have the credit card on hand. You can use the portal just like they would.
mhm.
That is an option.
They will get a confirmation email sent to them if their email address is in the project window. But
Okay, so that's where to
yes, and
change to their email in case.
correct. So
Okay.
they're going to get an email to this email address, and quite honestly, they probably should. Whenever you're processing something on their behalf, generally, most states require some sort of electronic or physical transmission that it has occurred. But if you
Mhm.
take that email out, they obviously won't get one because there's nowhere to go.
Okay. Let's see. There was actually a suggestion. I know I had mentioned in the beginning of the presentation about how that first payout using a Stripe account is 7 days.
Mhm.
There was a suggestion from someone in the group that has done a very simple reimbursable bill of like $10 to the owner or something, and that kind of like gets you through that seven
Yep.
day payout really fast because if that's your first one that you put through, that's a totally acceptable thing to do. It's totally up to you though. That's a preference. If you wanted to see how it gets going, how it happens before you actually use it live, you can definitely do that.
There is one that's 100% true. That's really a good point and a good suggestion and good process. Whoever provided that suggestion. And one thing with the ACH in general, process faster once you've made your first transmission, as Lindsay indicated. But there is bank initiated delays sometimes in there that are outside of Stripe's control. They're certainly outside of our control. It's up to the bank itself. And even the account that the individual, that the client has, may have restrictions that there's got to be a 48-hour waiting period. So it's not always the same, is what I'm trying to get at there, because
Mhm.
each bank handles things a bit differently. And even the client's account, particularly commercial, or if the client has a business advisor who handles these types of things, they may have restrictions on there as well that incur their own delays.
Yes, good, very good point. I think we've learned a lot about that
We
through this process.
have. Mhm.
It's a variable, but again, good suggestion. Can you capture Stripe payments only in undeposited funds?
Okay. What happens is our this is actually a phase 2 enhancement of the Stripe processing. So what's going to occur is that The Stripe was the second that the Stripe is verified and transmitted. You're going to see it in Design Manager, as we saw. I mean, nearly instantaneously, you could see the deposit come through, or the payment on invoice, or what have you, and that indicates that your document's paid. And now you're waiting. Now you're waiting for Stripe, like we're talking about, to give you. They call it their payout periods. Okay, and they can vary. So rather than making your reconciliation more challenging than it needs to be, because there's going to be a delay between the payment date and when the funds hit, our developer said, we don't like that. We're going to make it easier for them. So they process it into undeposited funds. When Stripe then transmits my 94.99 in this case, it's going to pop out of my undeposited funds into my checking account. So now when I get my bank statement and I go to reconcile my checkbook in Design Manager, the dates are the exact same. So yes, it needs to go through undeposited funds to do so. Otherwise, you lose that amazingly powerful benefit of the automatic fee reconciliation that we do for you.
That is
A
very
long-winded answer.
Yeah, very good point though. Very good point. You can, there's actually been a couple of suggestions from a few different people following along that you can attach a PDF to the emails that go out through DM. You know, so you could attach different PDFs if you wanted to. If you wanted to bring that email up within Design Manager, you are able to attach things to that. So
Sure. Yep.
That is a good point. Okay, we are new to Stripe, 1 month in. If our accountant has advised against passing on the fees, I am assuming that just does not show on the client payment portal's window. So
Correct.
Yes, that is absolutely true. They would not see any of those fees. They only see those fees if you have decided to pass those fees along.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Great point. Great clarification.
And going along with that, like I kind of prefaced it as well as Brad, it is geographical how kosher that is with the tax laws in your area. So you do want to check with somebody before doing it.
Definitely state by state, and even certain physical locales within a state. So yeah, as always, check with the CPA.
I think we addressed most of these, and I'm going to pass along the suggestions. We had a few more suggestions on getting a notification for the check, so I think I will definitely pass those along. Yeah, I think we're pretty good unless anybody has, oh, we're over time already. So I guess we'll wrap it up here, but absolutely anything you have, support@designmanager.com, sales@designmanager.com. You know the emails to reach us. We're here. We can help you get set up if you need help getting set up, if you get stuck. Or if you just have general questions, you know our support team is amazing at you know the software functionality and everything behind it. So thank you guys for joining us today. We really appreciate it. And yeah, you know that's about it.
Thanks so much, everyone. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Thanks, Linz.
All right, have a good day, everybody.
Bye-bye.